Have you ever tried a Rueben? Well, a Rueben is pastrami, sauerkraut, and cheese. And that's what we're going to make right now. A baked Rueben casserole. Let's get started. Ingredients. We need some pastrami, of course. 1 pound worth. Well, okay, those are, I think, 7.5 each. So it's a little shy of a pound. Some Swiss cheese, some sauerkraut, some rye bread. Light rye is what I've got. Some dill pickle relish, not sweet relish. The dill pickle kind. Some milk. And last but not least, some mustard. And I'm mixing it up, Dijon and regular mustard. Oh, and I forgot. We also need 3 eggs. 1, 2, 3. So let's get over to our food processor. And I've got our cheese ready to go. I'm going to open her up, cut it into slices. And by the time we're done, we're going to need 4 cups of shredded Swiss cheese. So I've got it into pieces because what we're going to do is we're going to put the chunks into the food processor and grind it out. This will be a lot easier. Put the lid on, start her up, and it really doesn't take that long to grind it down into something workable. Well, there you go. We'll pour it into our container, which is roughly 2 cups when you go to the top. And we need 2 of those. And when we're done, that's pretty close to 2 cups, I think. We'll put them aside. Our next move is our rye bread. We've got 2 piles of 4 slices each. The first one we're going to carefully cut into squares. And that's going to get put aside for now. There you go. It doesn't look like much. It's not. Second one we're going to cut up, and that's going to go in our food processor. Now, if it was stale, that might grind up a little better, but this is still going to work just fine. It's amazing what a sharp blade can do. Put the lid on, minute or so, and there you go. We have breadcrumbs. So you can always do that if you're looking for breadcrumbs too. But this we're just going to dump into our second bowl. We're going to need that down the road. There. Well, I think most of our prep work's done at this point. And there's our breadcrumbs. And that's going to go on the top eventually. So we need our can of sauerkraut, and we're just going to let it drain as best we can. Onto our baking dish. Grease her up, and the chunk rye bread, that's going to go on the bottom fairly evenly as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect, although I am trying to make it perfect. Just trying to make sure the bottom's covered, that's all. Our next item is our pastrami. So I'm going to take one of those containers, which makes it easy to divide it up. And that's going to make our next layer. Just like that. 2 cups of our Swiss cheese is the next move. Beautiful. Oh, and if you like caraway seeds, this is around the time you might want to sprinkle in a little bit, if you want. It's all up to you. So here's our second package of pastrami. That's close to a pound. And now the sauerkraut. That was like a 14-ounce can. as evenly as you can. It pretty well covers the pastrami in a even layer. And now on to our dill relish, which I'm still not sure about. And that's 1 cup, which is almost that whole jar. It seemed like a lot. But, hey, we go with the recipe. Now next up is our 2nd cup of Swiss. Our second 2 cups of Swiss, all nice and evenly made. All nice and evenly spread out. Well, now we need this mixture to go on top. So this is 3 eggs. 1, 2, 3. And to that, we need some milk. That's 1 cup of milk. Well, not quite, because I couldn't get it all. I had to spill it all, of course. We'll clean it up and add to it. Next up is 1/4 cup of Thousand Island dressing. And then we're just going to mix it all together. Alright, once that's all mixed, the fun part, we're going to get that poured onto our Rueben bake as evenly as we can, of course. Beautiful. Next up, in the background, I've got equal parts of mustard and Dijon mustard. That works out to roughly 1/4. And then we're going to carefully spread it around on top. Use a spatula. That'll help you spread it out a little better. And after that comes our breadcrumbs. And that goes on top. And feel free to mush things down as you're assembling this, so it doesn't overflow. And just because I threw in a little bit of butter, hopefully the top will get a little crispier with that. That's a couple tablespoons. Throw it in the microwave, nuke it. And there, I think I've at least covered up most of the area. Okay. Take out the aluminum foil. And we're going to cover this baby up ever so carefully. And into the oven it goes. 350 for at least 45 minutes. And when we take it out, which if you want the top browner, then take the lid off and bake it for 15-20 minutes without covered. But this is okay. It smells really good. Let's get a spoon out and start digging away at it to try and get the first piece. Is always the toughest. I don't care whether it's a piece of pie or a casserole or whatever. The first piece is always the tough one to get out and make it look halfway decent. I don't know how people do it. Anyway, we get ourselves a good spoon like that and onto a plate. There. Put the lid back on to keep it warm. Push it aside. And here is our Rueben bake. Isn't that something? Let's try a taste. And it's got all that yummy goodness in. There you go. Baked Rueben casserole. Hey, another great recipe. I hope you'll give it a try. Leave me a comment below, one way or the other. Listen, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell, because that'll tell you the next time I upload a video. Feel free to share this and any of my other videos. And thanks for stopping by and watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.